everyone, and welcome to episode number 4 of my audio journal, the place where you get to know the face behind the bass. It's been quite a week, and I'm excited to share a lot of things I've been thinking about with you, but I can't wait to tell you this first one, so I wanted to just throw it out there right away. I am doing something completely new and exciting with my mailing list. I'm renaming it. Totally new thing here. This is the Boaz Brigade now, folks. These are my people that I want to be in touch with and talk to all of the time, and I want to recruit you. And I've got a special gift for all of you who are part of the Boaz Brigade, and that is every week I am going to be sending you an exclusive MP3. That's right, it's going to be a whole bunch of different stuff. Sometimes I'll be taking the audio from my performance videos. Sometimes I'll be sending you some demos, and sometimes there'll be some live stuff, and I've got so many cool plans. And I hate to just jump in with the hard sell right here, but I would love it if all of you signed up right away. You can do that in the description below, because for me, music is really about community and people working together to do something special. And that's what I'd like to do with the Boaz Brigade. Of course, I'm going to keep in touch with you and tell you all the things that are going on with me musically, but I'm excited to explore what we can all do together. So jump on the ship, join us, and you'll get a free MP3 every week. And you'll be part of a very special and quickly growing community. Super excited about that. I hope you can tell, and I hope that you can join us. Some other cool things that have been going on this week. I released my recent performance video earlier this week of a song called Perdido. Now, I wanted to jump in with this one because it's been far too long since I have done a Latin jazz classic. This one was written by the great Puerto Rican composer Juan Tizol, often associated with Duke Ellington because Tizol was a member of the Duke Ellington band. He played valve trombone in there. And people often think that Duke Ellington wrote the tune, but this was Juan's tune, and it's a great jam. This was extra special to me because I really related to Juan's motivation for writing this. This was dedicated to Perdido Street that at the time was in New Orleans. My new album that will be coming out probably around August is called Petaluma Scenes, and each song is dedicated to a specific place in Petaluma. That really reminded me a lot of what Juan did, so I was really excited to play this one. Check it out. I'm playing some upright and some of my 6-string electric bass on there. You can find it on my YouTube channel, on Facebook, and all the others right there. I also did a great live stream this past Saturday. I'm actually going to be talking about that in our main topic today. But I've decided for this week, I'm actually going to be doing my live stream on Sunday. So check it out on Sunday the 26th at about 1:30. I'll be on my Facebook page and playing a bunch of tunes. I've got a great set list for you this week where I'll be playing some U-bass, some upright, some electric, and talking about my week. So come hang out with me, say hi, and hear some tunes. So the main topic that I wanted to discuss this week is really about the journey and staying in something for the long haul. Now, of course, for me, this is music. And I've always said to anyone that I talk to about this, music is a lifetime endeavor. Yes, we reach these kind of plateaus along the way, but there's always more growth that can happen. There's always more avenues to explore. For me, that's one of the most exciting things about music. It's about the journey. It's not about the destination. And that means that you really have to stay in it for the long haul. I was really reminded of that this week when I did my live stream on Saturday. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I had a great time. I was really pleased with a lot of things that happened musically on that live stream, but it had been a pretty tough week for me. I had been sick all week. It was a crazy busy week at my teaching job, and I had been trying to do a lot of extra musical things, and boy, I was exhausted. I hadn't put in as much preparation time as I wanted, and I didn't feel as good sometimes I usually do about the performance. Now, don't get me wrong, I had a blast, and I was really pleased with a lot of the things that happened, but I have high standards for my musical performance, and it's really easy to get bummed out when you don't reach those plateaus every time. Now, I am an experienced performer, and I can move forward from that, and I can let go of a less than perfect performance. But it still sticks in the back of my head. And honestly, when I really think about it, I think about a couple of things that were really drilled into me, especially in my education, some myths about music that I think are a little more detrimental than good, but they always come back to me when I'm in a situation like this. The first one is really the statement that you're only as good as your last performance. I was told this time and time and time and time again as a young musician. Things like, well, you never know who's going to be in the audience. You might not get that next gig if you aren't playing at your best. Or things like, well, people might fire you from the bandstand if you're not as good as you could be. And I see where the motivation comes for that. Every time you step on stage, you really want to step up and you want to play your best. Hey, but as an experienced human being, I'm going to tell you that my self-worth is not determined by one moment of music. My self-worth as a musician is not defined on that. My self-worth as a human being is not defined by that. So it takes some pushing of that idea away to realize that my self-worth is determined by my longer journey, right? And all of the things that I have done. I can't get so focused on one moment in time that I let that go. Now, that was the first myth that got me kind of thinking about this. The second one that I was told time and time and time again was, every time you get on stage, you've got to play like it's the last time you'll ever get to play music. Now, I get that. I get that a lot, because valuing and appreciating the opportunity to play music is really deep. And I really try to do that. Every time I pick up my instrument, I try to be appreciative of the fact that I can, because what if someday there is a point where I can't anymore? That would be really sad. So every time I pick up my instrument, I really try to play and appreciate that like it is the last time I played. But that was drilled into my head in ways like, well, Coltrane on stage, every time he picked up his horn, he played with fire and technical virtuosity and creativity like no one else could. That's what you've got to do every time you get on stage. And, well, I'm sorry, folks, but as much as I would love to be, I'm not John Coltrane. I've learned a lot from him, and I continue to learn a lot from him. And I probably will learn from Mr. Train until the day that I pass. But in reality, I'm never going to be John Coltrane. So I'm going to get on stage and I'm going to play like me for the place I am. And I'm going to dedicate myself to that. And then when I get off stage, I'm not going to look back and judge myself for the fact that, did I play like that was the last time I would ever get to play? No, I played like I played, and I'm going to appreciate that and move forward with it. Now, I do always think it's good to reflect on performances and think about the things that you thought were less than ideal and think about ways to improve upon those. And believe me, I've done that since this past Saturday. But we've got to have a little bit of forgiveness in there and realize that that was the place we were in on this past Saturday. I've learned, I've grown, and I'm in a different place now. It's about the long haul, folks. To really be able to make this instrument sing, I've got to be able to move forward with the same passion, creativity, and enthusiasm that I did before there were any mistakes. And to do that, I've got to let go of those myths. I've got to forgive myself, and I've got to reflect with some positive critique as to how I'm going to grow, and then grow and get back out there and do it again. So I don't know if that was a pep talk for myself or just something I wanted to put out there into the world, but it's something I've really been thinking about a lot. And I think it's a pretty healthy mindset that's going to allow me to stay in the game for the long haul. The journey, not the destination. It doesn't end with one performance. You keep going forward. So I'd love to hear from you. If there's anyone out there in the brigade that has experienced these types of kind of stumbles along the way and had to kind of reorient yourself, how did you do that? What are the things that you think about when a performance or anything else you do in life is less than perfect and you have to move forward? Hey, send it my way. Send me a message. You can send me an email to chip@chipboazmusic.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, all the places, and let me know, because I'd love to share it with the community. I think we could all grow from that. My inspiring person of the week. I brought this segment into the audio journal as a way to lift ourselves up. And I'm feeling at this point that it's being a little bit of a downer, but it's coming from a place of respect and love. Last week I talked about the late drummer Neil Peart, who did some great things with the band Rush. We recently lost him. This week, unfortunately, I'm talking about two more great musicians that passed away this past weekend. The wonderful jazz saxophonist Jimmy Heath and the trumpet player Claudio Roditi. Two musicians that have moved me quite a bit over the past several years, and it was really heartbreaking to hear the news that both of them had passed away on the same day. It was a big hit to the jazz world. Jimmy was an amazing saxophonist. He came up playing in dance bands and got deep into bebop with folks like Dizzy. But I think a lot of us, especially from my generation, really picture Jimmy playing alongside his brothers, Percy, great bass player, and Tootie, a grooving drummer in the band, the Heath brothers. These three played all over the world, playing jazz, but really infusing it with some modern electric instruments, some soulful vibe, without ever losing that bebop foundation. Amazing stuff, really inspiring. Jimmy was also a great educator who did stuff all over the country, all over the world, turning young minds onto the art of jazz. That's noble work, and we really appreciate all of that. Jimmy was 93 when he passed, lived a long, full life that we will always remember. Thank you, Jimmy, for all that you gave us. You gave me more inspiration than you can know. Claudio Roditi was a trumpet player from Brazil who was one of the kind of leading figures in mixing bebop and Brazilian rhythms. He passed away this past weekend at the age of 73 from prostate cancer, a young loss, which makes it all the more sad. He brought so much great music into the world. He came over from Brazil, went to the Berklee School of Music, and went on to live in New York and play with a lot of great people like Paquito de Rivera and more. He was a great trumpet player, but also played this really interesting instrument, the rotary valve trumpet. This is often used in classical music a lot, but rarely in jazz. It has this beautiful, full, rich tone, kind of like a flugelhorn, but even more just lyrical and beautiful. And Claudio really spun that in a unique and beautiful way. You listen to some of those recordings. I'd highly recommend a recording I was listening to this past week, Brazilians ×4, which you can find on all the streaming services. Just such masterful lines and beautiful tone. Really worth checking out. Claudio, thank you for everything you gave the world. You really brought a lot of inspiration for Brazilian music and jazz into my life. So thank you. We'll be remembering you, and we'll be remembering Jimmy for years to come. If you've never heard these two folks, go out and listen to some Jimmy Heath, go out and listen to some Claudio Roditi, and let's remember them for all of the inspiration that they gave us. My question of the week is a fun one, but I'm going to jump back to last week's question for a minute because we had some of the Boaz Brigade answer that one, and I wanted to share it with you. Last week's question was, if you were going to tell your life story, how would you share it with the world? Now, I wanted to have an animated cartoon, long-form series made of my life. It would be great. I can picture it now. Scooby-Doo all the way. But me, I would love that. But I had my good friend Cesar Landieta answer this question to me on Instagram. And Cesar said, I would make a movie where I am the writer. The music in the film would be played by you. Well, Cesar, I would be watching that movie. And wow, if I had the opportunity to write music for a movie, I would be over the moon. And there's no movie that I would rather write for than yours. So let's do it. We got to get together and make a plan. That would be so fun. I love it when I hear the feedback from these questions because they're fun. They're supposed to be fun, right? And today's is, well, folks, this is serious stuff today because this is something that I think about a lot. This week's question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be? I think about this all the time. I'm a big comic books fan, Marvel comics all the way. I read them all, you name it. Avengers, Amazing Spider-Man, Immortal Hulk. I could go on. Don't get me started. So I'm going to go on and on. So I had to really think about this. If I was going to have a superpower, what would it be? Because there's so many good ones, right? Would I have healing powers like Wolverine? He's not the only one, but he's like the main one, right? I mean, would I be able to climb walls like Spider-Man? Would I fly like Captain Marvel? Would I have like some cool suit like Iron Man? Could I turn invisible? Could I be stretchy? Would I be like super strength? That would be like super sick, right? But it's hard. It's hard to think about. Now, the first thing that came to me, of course, is like, well, duh, I would have the Force. But the Force isn't a superpower, right? I mean, Star Wars canon folks, you would be telling me that right away. But I know, the Force isn't a superpower, so that one doesn't count. So that's going to have to be a whole nother question. I think it would be healing, like Wolverine. That's what I'm going to say. Because I think there's so many exciting things in the future. And if you heal, you just keep going and going. You don't die. You just get to see all the cool things. That can be a curse too, as we've learned from Wolverine's story. But I think that would be super cool to be able to see what happens in the future like that. So Wolverine, you and me, we got it. What would your superpower be? That's what I want to know. You can leave your response in the comments. You can send an email to chip@chippoasmusic.com. You can hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. But let me know, because I'm really invested in this discussion, and I want to know what your superpower would be. I'll share it on next week's show. I think that about wraps it up, folks. So thank you for hanging out with me. Again, I really value you spending the time sitting here and listening to me share my thoughts. And I encourage you, follow the link below and join the Boaz Brigade. I'm going to be sending MP3s out every week. I'm going to keep you updated on all the cool things I got going, and we're going to do some amazing things with this community. So join up. I look forward to all the music coming over the course of the next week, and we'll talk next week in Audio Journal number 5.